weeks ago, I attended the largest writing conference of North America. And in this video, I will be sharing my key takeaways so you guys can enjoy. The conference is called AWP, which stands for Association of Writers and Writing Programs, and it's a mix of panel discussions, featured events, readings, an extremely huge book fair, and many off-site events. Overall, it's supposed to be about networking with other writers and gaining a lot of information about things you don't know. Personally, since I'm already a part of an MFA writing program, I didn't need many panel discussions on craft. So I wanted to learn more about the business side of being an author. So I went to panels related to publishing, target audiences, book promotions, marketing, contracts, all of that good stuff. And I'm going to be sharing that in this video with you as my key takeaways. But before that, here is a small disclaimer. As you watch this video further, please keep in mind that I'm not vouching for any information given right here. What I mean by that is I'm not trying to teach you what's right or what's wrong. Instead, I'm just sharing with you things that I have learned from people that I met at the conference. So please take all information with a grain of salt. With that out of the way, let's get started. The first panel I went to was called "For Whom Do You Write? 4 Immigrant Writers on Their Audiences." I'll put all the info about the panelists and the description of this specific event either on the screen somewhere or in the description box, so you can pause the video and check that out if you want to. So this first panel I attended was all about 4 immigrant writers talking about how they think of audiences while they're writing. I went to this panel because I have always struggled with the question of who I should be writing for, like who is my target audience? Because usually and mostly actually I'm from India, I'm writing stories based in India, but I want people from other countries to be able to understand the cultural context as well. I want a global audience. I'm extra ambitious maybe, but I do want it, and that's why I always have this struggle while writing. And my key takeaway from this specific panel was a brilliant one. You'll find it simple, but it's quite significant, which is this. As long as your story is deeply rooted in your culture and is compelling enough for the small set of readers based in that specific region, you've done your job as a writer. In other words, if you try to tell your story to everyone in the world, you're actually telling it to no one. That's why all you have to do as a writer is to focus on serving the story in the best way possible so that it becomes self-sufficient in conveying the cultural context to whoever wants to understand that cultural context by reading your story.
I think some Indian English writers who have significant growing up experience like me in India have been able to do that. Like Chaitali is a great example of that, of such a practice. Arun Kularkar, Jejuri, the collection, poetry collection, Jayanta Mahapatra's poetry, Arundhati Roy's Goddess Small Things, a lot of her non-fiction is an example of that assertion of independence. And one of the reasons I think they are able to do that because they draw so much from actually the local traditions, the local linguistic traditions. And I think that's really important. And this finally brings me to the bigger topic actually of the experience of growing up in a multilingual country. Not just India, but also probably Nigeria or South Africa, which are multilingual countries. And the unique experience of multilingual country actually can be captured in a language that has to get rid of these expectations and get rid of these forces that constantly tell us to impress someone sitting in London or New York.
Another reason why this panel was my favorite is because I got the opportunity to meet Aruni Kashyap, whose debut novel, The House with a Thousand Stories, is just brilliant. The next panel I attended was called Book Promotion by the Numbers, a transparent discussion of costs and benefits. This panel had 4 authors talking about all the different methods they used to promote their books, how much they spent on marketing, how much they gained back, and their overall experience during the marketing stages of their respective books.
What are the things that she did? She helped me craft my bio, take an author photo, do a Q&A that would go out as part of the media package. She helped craft the story about the book. She helped me vet and place essays. I should say, none of the places she pitched my essays took them, but then I was able to place them elsewhere in places like LitHub and the Washington Post. She got media attention. She got me on podcasts, book festivals I wouldn't have known about, interviews. She helped me reach audiences I'd not even have thought of trying to reach.
I have two key takeaways from this panel. First is a mindset shift about whether or not selling my book for a profit is a good idea. I know that's a big statement to make because it's every author's dream to become a full-time author. And yes, that's my dream too, but I'm sort of questioning the credibility of that dream at this moment. And I want to dedicate a separate video on just that mindset because I think it deserves its own video. So maybe that will be coming up next week. If you're interested, do hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Also, if you're a new viewer, I just want to let you know that on this channel, we talk all about creating compelling stories and creating rich experiences for your readers. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Srishti, and please subscribe to this channel. I would love to have you as a part of our community. The second key takeaway from this panel was a very crucial one, and that's why I'm sharing it in this video. When you're approached by a publisher with a book deal, don't just look at the advance money as your major deciding factor while signing the book deal. If you're a beginner and you don't know, the advance is the fixed amount of money that your publisher pays you irrespective of the number of copies your book sells when it gets released in the market. So if you're being offered a really high advance from a big publisher or even a small press, it's very easy to get tempted looking at the advance and then just signing the deal. But what's also more important is to take into consideration how much money or how much resources this publisher is willing to invest in the marketing of your book. Now, I can actually go into way more detail and explain this concept to you with examples and exact figures. However, to make it easier for you, I have written a super long, super comprehensive blog post that you can access for free on my website. This, guys, is the longest blog post I've ever written, and while this video will give you the key takeaways of what I learned at the conference, my blog post has all the details. It has every single juicy gossip detail written for you, step by step, in depth, right from my notes. So please check it out. I'll link it in the description box and also in the comments section for your easy reference. The third panel on the list is called Winning Words: Best Practices for Submitting to Book Prizes. It's given right in the name. This panel had 4 representatives from 4 different small presses who offer book prizes and book contests where writers can submit their work, win cash prizes, and also get published.
Looking at those like where to submit pages and some of those sites, because a lot of people don't know that Kashyap Press exists, but hi, we're here. And we give out, 2 scholarship prizes, and we get, for the first book scholarship prize, we usually get somewhere around like 200 submissions for it. So you actually have a pretty good shot of getting it, and you can submit every year if you want to. We always have a rotating group of judges, so you'll have all new readers, and it's free, so there's no harm, no foul. We have a semi-finalist list that we have primary readers who are our editors at the journal or kind of our reading staff who will do an initial read to cultivate a semi-finalist list, and then that is read by our final judges, which is usually a group of 4 or 5 judges, and then they select kind of together the finalists. We usually have 3 finalists and then the winner.
Now, not to boast about myself, but if you don't know, I am the winner of 2 such contests, and 2 of my short stories were published in small press anthologies in a very similar way. So I already knew most of this stuff about how to submit to book prizes and contests, but I still went to this panel because I wanted to see if there's anything that I'm missing out. One rule that you must always be following when submitting to book contests and prizes is this: Follow all the rules. Yes, apparently the easiest way to get rejected in such contests is by disregarding their rules. Every contest has specific guidelines, so take the time to find out what they really want from you. Honestly ask yourself if or not your work would be suitable for this contest. However, I would caution you against trying to forcefully change your story and fitting it under the guidelines of a contest. That's not worth it. Please don't reverse engineer the process. Just try to see what you have written, what your story you're really trying to tell. Is that story already fitting under the guidelines of some contest? If not, move on. There are so many contests happening all around the world. You just need to find the right one. Again, there is so much more when it comes to submitting to book prizes. There are so many other things that you need to take care about, and full notes are in my blog post. So do check that blog post out. I'm sure you will love it. The next panel I attended was called From Slush to Sale, Literary Agents Explain It All. This was, of course, my most favorite panel because the panelists were all agents talking about the behind the scenes of how the industry works, how agents work with editors, how editors work with publishers, etc.
I don't know, there's all these sorts of like publishing shows that are very misrepresentative of what publishing actually is and the kind of power that editors have. Like, editors don't just read something and then wave a magic wand and suddenly start throwing money at agents and authors. Like, that is not how it works.
Sadly, number is not real.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. But they actually have to rally everyone in-house. And it is a huge amount of work with an uncertain payoff for the editor. And so the bar is actually very, very high, and that's why I think as agents, we're always trying to eliminate any and all reasons an editor could go, because the bar is incredibly high. They have to get other people on the team to read it. Those people have to like it. Then they have to present this presentation to their entire editorial board, which includes their bosses and their boss's boss's boss, and sometimes even sales and marketing, and they have to get everyone on board before they can even, offer on the book.
And not only that, they also talked about how new writers can approach agents, how you can write query letters, what they're really looking for when they're trying to pick writers from the slush pile. That's a lot of bulky information, which I have explained step by step in my super long blog post that you must definitely check out after this video. But my key takeaway is this. Literary agents are not looking for some magical unicorn in your query letter. They're actually only looking for just two things. How compelling is your story? And where will it be positioned in the market? That's it. In your query letter, if you are able to convey to the agent that your story is a compelling page turner and show them how your book can be a marketable product, they are sold. Small disclaimer, just because I made it sound very simple for you does not mean it's very easy. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a full video just on this topic. The next panel I went to was called I Wish I'd Known, Advice for Navigating the Publishing World. As given in the name, this panel had a few authors talking about their first-time publishing experience and things that they wish they had known when they were publishing. My key takeaway from this panel was actually a cautionary tale shared by author Rebecca Makkai. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She talked about how when writers are desperate to work with a specific agent or a specific publishing house and they are really trying too hard to get published, they might just end up losing the essence of their story.
So this is one example, but I have had multiple students and friends that this has happened to, where they find an agent and they're so excited because it's like somebody picked me, right? And the agent goes, I think I want to represent you. Let's work on some edits. That's fine so far. Here are the edits. Here's what I see. And then give this author a direction to go that's not, if the author's, if you're being honest with yourself, it wasn't quite where you wanted to take it, but you're like, oh, but I would jump through any hoop to work with this agent. This is it. And then, so for a student of mine, she changed what point of view the book was in. She cut out one section, she added a section. She did all these things that they weren't coming from her, they were coming from the agent. They didn't quite feel right, but she did them. She got back, it's like 6 months later, emails the agent, doesn't get a response. Emails the agent, doesn't get a response. Finally calls the agency and they're like, oh, he quit 4 months ago.
So that was something that hit me hard and stayed with me long after the event was over. This panel pushed me to the mindset that as a writer and an author, you need to be constantly battling the publishing world and the world in general, not just yourself, when you're trying to maintain the true essence of your story throughout the process until it reaches the hands of your readers. You need to be battling for it constantly, and that is just how it works. This is not just the key takeaway from that specific panel, but also a golden nugget of this video. Never change the heart of your story just because you want to get published somewhere. And the easiest way to do this is to ask yourself, if this story that I'm working upon right now never gets published, am I still willing to write it? Think about that. Boom! Those were the top 5 panels that I attended. In total, I went to 9 panels, but these were my favorites. However, all information from all panels is very nicely compiled and summarized for you in that super comprehensive blog post, so definitely check it out and definitely subscribe to this channel because what are you even waiting for? I would love to have you in the community. Thank you so much for watching. This is me, Srishti Rathore, signing off for this video, and I'll see you next in another awesome video next week. Until then, bye-bye!